Welcome back to the Tennis Nerd podcast. Today's guest is someone I've been looking forward to chatting with. We've been in touch for several years now. He's a player who's made his mark on the doubles tours, played some great singles tennis, shared the court with some of the best players in the world, including his brother Stefanos, of course, represented Greece on the world stage, traveled the tour. So plenty of stories, I'm sure, off and on the court. So we're going to talk about that, his touring life and so on. Welcome, Petros Tsitsipas.
Thank you, Jonas, for having me. Yeah, it's quite an honor.
Thanks. Likewise,
I've watched,
man.
a few podcasts. So
where are you right now? So what's happening in your life?
So I'm currently competing. I just arrived to our Crete island. It's a Greek island in the south part of Greece. We currently have two challengers coming up, two ATP Challenger events. The lower so challenges come into four different categories. You start from the 50s, 75s, 100s, and then you move to 125s. We have the lowest degree here. We're playing 50s. So yeah, we have two in a row, which is nice. We actually haven't had in Greece for quite a long time challenger events, so it's very nice to have them and to be able to compete and make points. So yeah, it's been my second day here in the island, and tomorrow qualifying starts. I'm gonna be competing in the main draw in singles, and I'm gonna be also playing doubles with my younger brother Pavlos. I don't know if you have met him in the past.
I have not met him, I think, but it's crazy. You're a tennis family. Like everyone in your family plays tennis.
yeah, we're a tennis family, and all the boys play tennis. So
yeah, it's crazy.
nice.
And your mother was a tennis player as well, right? So
yeah, she used to be a quite successful tennis player, I would say. She used to compete for Soviet Union, and back in the days, Soviet Union was a very restrictive country in terms of traveling and playing tournaments. So they actually didn't allow her to play a lot of tournaments at that time, and she just managed to crack, I think, the top 100 or something, and then she stopped quite early on her career. But yeah, she was a very good tennis player from what I've heard from other people.
yeah, I've heard that too. And yeah, I know your father as well, Apostolos, of course. And coming from Greece, it's not like a country known for tennis, you know. Like you are the tennis family of Greece, like the royal tennis family of Greece. Like, how has that been like growing up? Is there like a lot of support around tennis, or you have brought this kind of into the country?
To be honest with you, I feel like yes, Steph grew tennis big in Greece, and he, of course, he brought it to a different level. But big part of it was Maria Sakai, and she was the one that started, having amazing results and um, bringing people closer to tennis in Greece. And of course, my brother followed after, and he was also inspired by her in a way. He has said it sometimes before in interviews. So yeah, I feel like Maria started a little bit the hype, and then Steph came up, and yeah, they both have achieved incredible things on court, and of course they're very very good personalities both, in my opinion. And yeah, it's just wonderful to also have some kind of involvement in that throughout my doubles career so far. And having the chance to represent Greece in the Olympic Games was probably my biggest achievement personally, which I'm very proud of. And yeah, it's been great for Greek tennis, and I think many more great things are going to come in the future. We have also a young player. I don't know if you've heard of him, Rafael Pagonis.
Yeah, I heard of him
He
actually. Yeah.
played, yeah, he played the final of Wimbledon in juniors under 14, and I've been watching some highlights. He's so talented. I think he's gonna be probably the next big thing, which is nice to see that players are coming up. So yeah, we're very blessed at the moment with Greek tennis, and I think many great things are gonna come along the way.
Yeah, and it's nice to have like smaller countries or countries that are not traditionally linked to tennis do well in tennis. And I really hope for you guys as well that Greece develops more and more strong players, which I think there's a high likelihood. You know, like Sakari, the Tsitsipas clan. You know, you're all doing a good job. So how's playing? Like you have two brothers now. You're playing doubles with Pavlos here. How different is it like playing with Stefanos and then playing with Pavlos? Like how do you tackle like what's the dynamic like with the brothers?
Yeah. Um, so I have played with both of my brothers. Stefanos hasn't played with Pavlos yet, which will happen soon, eventually. Playing with Stefanos, of course, growing up, it was a huge inspiration for me. So I've kind of looked up to him in a way when we played together. And I would say the last year or two, because I was really into doubles and learning things that, doubles players kind of know and singles players don't really know so much. I was kind of guiding the team sometimes, which was a new feeling for me, and I'm actually glad because Stefanos was kind of listening to me sometimes, which is nice. But with Pavlos, it's also great to play with him. He's 5 years younger than me. He's still, he's still learning so much throughout the sport, and he he surprisingly doesn't enjoy doubles so much. But my goal is to make him enjoy it more because it's, in my opinion, it's super fun to play with your brother alongside the court. And yeah, I would say it's kind of, with Steph, it's more of a, he's the boss, and then with Pablo, I'm kind of the boss, which is nice. And yeah, all these things I've learned with Stefanos throughout the years playing doubles with him, I'm trying to kind of transfer to Pavlos, which which is the nicest feeling in the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a nice way to kind of connect your family. Like you're getting something from your older brother, then you can bring it down to your younger brother. Like it's like like a family is supposed to work. Like that's really cool.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
as like you're would you call yourself a double specialist? Like you play both singles and doubles, like but you love doubles more or you have better results. What's your take there?
So the last 3 years, 2021 until 2024, I was solely specialized in doubles. Um, Before that, I was a singles player. I was playing doubles as well, but my goal was to play singles. And in 2020, I had a big injury in my hamstring. I got the proximal tear after a Davis Cup tie, a deciding rubber actually against Jamaica. I had to play the last match there, and eventually I won the match, which was great because our team advanced to the next group, and that was the goal. But a day later, I woke up and my hamstring was in big pain. So I went to do checkups, MRIs, and stuff, and in the end, I had like a tear, which kind of, I was very devastated at that time because I was playing good tennis. I feel like, and I had to stay out for 3-4 months. And on the process of getting back, I kind of rushed it a bit. I started earlier than I'm supposed to, and my singles results were not great, but my results were almost winning every week, if that was futures or challenger matches. And then at one point, my both rankings, they were like equal. From equal, they went here. So my doubles was almost top 200, and then singles was out of, let's say, 800 or 900. And then I had this picture in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm 200 in doubles now. If I push a bit and I reach to 140, 130 until the end of the year, that was actually 2021, if I remember correct. I can I can potentially play Australian Open main draw with my brother Stefanos. And yeah, since my hamstring was not getting any better, and you know how singles is with a lot of movement involved and stuff. In doubles, I was actually fine. I was not feeling it so much because doubles is less intense, and it's more like a chess game. so you can compensate even if you have pain with your body. And I was doing that. I put myself fully into achieving that goal of reaching 120 or 130 in doubles, and I actually did. I ended the year in around 130. We played our first direct entry into a slam, which was Australian Open, and then following up to that, we won more matches, and then the ultimate goal was Olympic Games. For me, that was a childhood dream, come true. So it took me 3 years to achieve that. I did it, and then after Olympics, mentally, I felt like, yeah, I love doubles, but the last 3 years, I was always visualizing myself of playing singles, and for some reason, I felt like I have to get back to it. And since last year September, I've been training only that. I've been training singles. Of course, I'm playing doubles, but it's not my main priority right now. My main priority is to improve as a singles player and improve my ranking. And my ultimate goal is to do both. Let's say from next year at challenger level, so entering challengers and playing singles and doubles. And then of course I have other goals in my mind, but this is the primary my primary goal at the moment.
Oh, that's great that you can be able to switch. And also, I guess you put like a lot of time and effort into reaching your goal of the Olympics. And then, like, that's one goal done. The air goes out of the bag. You want a new goal, and you are also a singles player. So it makes sense to kind of shift focus a little bit. Like, also in my head, like that makes sense to at least give everything you have for a bit to singles and see what happens, because you're already
Yeah.
accomplished doubles player. I checked your highest ranking was like with top 100, so very good level. And you obviously know doubles very very well. You spoke of it as a chess game, and I also see that. I mean, being an old chess player, of course, but it's like it's really is a chess game. Like it's completely different dynamics and geometry of the court and how you play and move in doubles than in singles. So your brain has to compute differently. When you were focusing on doubles, like, do you feel like you learned like do you feel like the doubles has changed a bit over the last 5-10 years? Do you feel like it's the same it's always been, or what's like a main skill for you, like to become a good doubles player?
That's a very good question. um I feel like doubles has changed a lot the last 5 to 6 years, I would say, due to the courts becoming slower and the balls as well. And back in the days, I've been watching also highlights on YouTube. They were playing so much serve and volley, and the first volley, if it was a really good one and punchy one, it would like skid off the court, and then the opponents were always in defense. So you were basically playing to dominate the net. That was the main goal. Now it's, I would say, serving and volleying is not so important anymore. You see more guys trying to play from the back, and I would say the biggest difference now compared to back then is a different kind of net game approach. It's called closing. Closing means that the receiver's no no the server's partner position is probably one of the most important aspects right now. So it's the guy that's at the net while their partner is serving. What this guy is doing, how quickly he can react to the return, and how quickly he can close off the volleys and cut off the angles. And you see many guys like Vavasori, Bolelli doing that very well. Um, all the top guys, I would say. Also, Heliovara and Patton. That's kind of the non-traditional way of playing doubles. They're playing in a very new kind of style way, and it works very well. I was also, I was also learning from this kind of guys, trying to play the same way, and it's a very, yeah, it's very effective. It's very effective, but not. I would say most of the fans of the tennis fans cannot really quite understand, how are like they're doing all that stuff with the crazy reaction volleys and closing the net, but it's actually insanely effective, and this is where you win most of the matches. If you know that your partner can serve a specific spot and then you close a specific angle, um, then you win 50% of the points because you're serving 50% of the points. So it's kind of like that at the moment. In this way, it has changed, and yeah, most of the guys, they don't really serve in volley anymore because also the chip lob as a return is more advanced and is better used. So yeah, I think doubles is super exciting. It's just that ATP has to bring a new way to promote it. They need to rebrand the product, I would say. They're trying to do that, especially the doubles players. They created like a community, and they're trying to change it in a positive way. And I'm part of that community, let's say. And it's very nice to see because I think doubles actually deserves a bit more hype than it does at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a shame because they're like when you watch doubles, it can be super entertaining, especially if they have a slightly longer rallies. You need to be have excellent reflexes and a great tennis game to play doubles at the highest level. Like everyone can tell. Like just, I mean, I discussed this with my buddy Henrik. Like we were watching doubles at the Swedish Open, and just that angle, like of just touching the ball and just killing the point, kind of. That's for like a regular amateur player that looks dangerous because you're going to get the ball in the face. You're not going to have time to
Exactly.
react. Like so, you need to be a bit crazy and you need to have the perfect reactions, right? And be able to read like. So it's a specific skill game in itself, and I don't know exactly how they can rebrand it, but I think they for sure doubles needs more love, and they're trying, but I think they need to go a little bit heavier, with like maybe money or give better TV hours or find some formats that are maybe a bit more exciting.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. I agree with you. I mean, the biggest difference in comparison to like let's say 10 years ago, the teams, they don't stick as much as they used to. Um, and that's because teams get much easier exposed nowadays. So you see guys, playing for 2 years and then changing teams and changing partners, and that's normal. That's kind of the new process. So for ATP, in that way, it's a bit tough to market it because it's much easier to market teams that are gonna stay for 5 years long rather than staying for 1 year long. And that part also has to play some kind of role, let's say. But yeah, I love watching doubles. The moment you understand how doubles work, it's probably it's probably one of the most entertaining things to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if you can get some maybe singles players to play more doubles, like I think it can also help like boost because people know the person already and then you kind of broaden the interest. But I 100% agree. Like if you change teams every 2 years, because like, okay, they figured us out. We have these skills and we're getting beaten up now because they figured out what to do against this guy and this guy's combo. It's tougher to build like the Brian Bros brand, like you're saying here, oh, it's the Sitsi Bros or the Brian Bros or whatever. You want to have like a little bit of a marketing brand around it. That would be cool. Like this team from like, especially if they play for the same country, it's even better, I would say, probably. But it's tougher than to maybe make it work practically, right?
100%. It's exactly how you said. Yeah, I hope that they find a way and they kind of formulate it. But yeah, ATP definitely needs to put a bit more effort in that. So yeah, let's see what happens the next years. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So now you're playing a challenger, singles challenger. So how is your preparation like? Like how what is your day like to prepare for this? Because it's like I mean, challenger level is high level tennis. One thing I would like to comment on, like, is it time to kind of get rid of challenger and just call it an ATP 50? Why is it called challenger?
Yeah. I guess it's called challenger because a typical challenger player doesn't really make a living in that regard. So it's a different tour
Yeah, maybe
in
that's why
that
then.
sense. Yeah, but my typical day starts in the morning always. I wake up early. Um, I'm kind of a practice freak, I would say. So that's a bit. It's a bit dangerous sometimes for me to be on the court for too long. But today I practiced for like 3 hours, I would say, because it's the still the second day, and I'm trying to get used to the conditions, to the balls, to the feeling, of my racket, tension, stuff like that. And yeah, I've hit for 3 hours today. I've done 1 hour of conditioning, and yeah, I mean it's a dedication. it's a daily dedication to make sure you're gonna prepare the right way before you play your first match. And of course, it it depends also. If you play in conditions that you don't like so much and you want to get used to more, and then you're gonna hit more. That's my opinion, at least. That's what I do. Yeah, we're just trying to basically practice as much as possible without going over the top before playing our first match. That's the idea.
So that's been a thing for you in the past, that you want to be so prepared, or you like being on the court so much that you kind of overdo it and burn out a little bit of energy before like a match or something.
Yeah, not lately. Like the last 2 3 years, I'm much better with this, managing my energy levels. But when I was younger, that was the biggest reason I think I got injured. Actually, was that I was doing way too much. I was bringing way too much intensity for too long, I would say, in my practice sessions, which is something that many players don't actually think about. Many players think that, okay, I need to really work hard every day, like 4 or 5 hours, give it my all. Yes, you have to work hard, but you there's like a limit. You have to also trust your body, hear your body, know what it's capable of, and how much you can actually give. Because it's really easy to go overboard, and then you're getting injured and you're not even playing the tournament. That's actually something that shouldn't happen.
No, I think like it's also we have only so much energy, right? And so the body will break down at some point. So I think it's easier when you mature to kind of make that decision. Like the breaking points. Like okay, if I do these courts are new, I don't like a fast hard court or whatever the reason is. You need a bit more time, but then not like overdo it in the heat, because now I guess in Crete, like here in Spain, it's gonna be very hot conditions.
Yeah.
And what are the courts like? Are they fast hard courts or?
So in Crete, actually, the course here are actually quite slow and bouncy because they're new, and the surface is kind of soft. It's not your typical green set or plexipave. It's actually not. I don't remember the name of the material used in these hard courts here, but it's a bit soft and a bit rubbery kind of feeling. So the ball bounces through the court. It doesn't really skid, and it kind of stops. So I would say that here the conditions really suit players that either can really rip the ball because it's gonna bounce high and stop, so you have to generate, or guys that can stay in the point and in the rally really long, and just out I don't know, outfit the opponent in a way. So yeah, we Greeks, we like, I would say, slower courts. Most of Greek players grew up on clay. Um, so I'm actually more of a kind of I'm more of a fast hardcourt enthusiast. I've played probably my best singles tennis in faster hardcourts. But I feel like nowadays everything is slower. So if you want to be highly ranked and you want to do well, you need to be able to play good in slower conditions. That's my opinion, at least. I think only Cincinnati and a few, maybe US Open as well, and in Shanghai the courts are more faster than usual nowadays. The rest is considerably slow.
Do you think that like the balls have changed as well? Like the slow courts and slow balls feels like a strange combo or not a great combo. What's your feeling around that?
You know, I've discussed a lot with players about this. Some players think actually that after COVID, maybe the production, I don't know, changed, or there were many balls left in the storage and they tried to use them throughout the years. I don't know. Some players think it's this. Some other players think it's the material of the balls has changed, so the rubber or maybe even the felt. But my personal opinion, for example, this week we're playing with US Open balls, and the Wilson US Open ball was always my favorite ball. I felt like it was the best, let's say 5 years ago in time. But the last 2 years is not the same anymore. in my opinion, it's a completely different ball, and it's almost different every time you get a can. Like some cans feel more lively, and then some others feel less lively. So it's weird. I mean, some brands are, I don't know what they have changed, but for example, Wilson, I trust Wilson because their Wilson Roland Garros ball is unbelievable in my opinion. It's probably one of the best balls I played with. So I'm not sure if it's the quality of the US Open or something else, but you see it also with head. For example, we used head here the last 2 years before we switched to the Wilson US Open, and I feel like the head tour is also kind of inconsistent. So there's definitely been some kind of change, but I'm not 100% sure what. Maybe you need to run some tests, you know?
Yeah,
You're
I
the
think so.
specialist in that.
It's funny, like, because I what you've said is exactly what I experience as well. Like I feel like there's the balls maybe don't last as long. That's one kind of overall thing. But I think overall the consistency is the issue. Like you pick one can, like I play US Open as well. My favorite is also the RG ball. Like that's my current favorite. Like Wilson RG is very good, pretty consistent, I would say. But the same with US Open, like, oh, there's a dead ball, it's a lively ball, it's a different. I'm like, what's going on, you know? Tour
Yeah.
XT also changed. I thought that was usually quite durable, but now like it's 40 minutes, it's unplayable. You know, it's not.
It gets
I,
really puffy.
yeah, it's really fluffy. It's like afro after like such a short time. So yeah, you have to do some digging in this, but like something has changed for sure because like everybody's memory cannot be completely wrong. You know, that's a
No,
bit strange. You know.
no, everybody's complaining. I mean, I've never heard players analyze and talk and discuss so much about conditions, balls, and yeah, I think there's something going on for sure. But yeah, I cannot tell 100%.
No,
I'm
no,
not
me
an
neither.
expert.
Do you think that also like relates to gear that players now like are more? I mean, I get a lot more like people asking me from the pro tour about gear because they're like, how do I deal with the balls? How do I deal with the courts? But they're also maybe more aware. Do players like you talk more about gear overall when you travel around on the tour? You feel?
Yeah, the older I've gotten, the more I realize that most players obsess with it. Like it's crazy. I've been part of this kind of process myself. Now I know much more than I used to know about rackets, specs, strings, tensions, all that stuff. Um, yeah, and it's something that at one point you will think about eventually, and you will analyze, and you will kind of try to figure out what you really want in your game and what you want to play with. Because I'm 25, I'm 25 years old, and okay, I've been working super hard all these years coming up into my tennis career, but you feel like in your mind, in the back of your mind, there must be something new that can help me play better and more efficient. So yeah, I've been discussing a lot with players, and I've also seen a lot of players switch to, like for example, the VS. It's a very popular racket nowadays. Uh, I mean, the perfect example is Bublik. Uh, Probably you discussed about it with someone else already in the podcast. That
No, not so much, but it's like
didn't.
I said maybe something in a video, of course, about like, I mean, the story that I know is that he actually went to a store, I think in Phoenix Challenger, and bought, and I think it's the Aero 98, not the VS, but I'm not 100% sure. And he bought 5 rackets, 2 grip 2 and 3 grip 3, because that's all they had. And he bought
Okay.
a spray paint can and he painted it.
Yeah.
And
Really.
yeah, maybe he has gotten different frames, but then he reached the final in that Challenger and he painted it themselves, right? Like because people like I have a friend of mine, knows him and saw him come out of the store with this stuff. So it's like it's
Okay.
quite clear, right? And then he just played and seems to be working. Maybe he doesn't think about like that. That's if you spray paint on top of paint, you're not gonna add a lot of weight. So like the racket's becoming very heavy, but it seems to work. I don't know. Like some guys can adjust, some guys cannot adjust. I deal with
Mhm.
players that like if you tell like, oh, 2 kilos down tension, no way, man. Like I'm not doing 2 kilos. Like they try it, they like I can't play like this. And some
Yeah.
guys are like, oh, I can try this, and then this works, and then they try a little bit of everything. It works pretty okay. So it's you're a little bit picky. You mainly test strings, right? Like around with your
I'm
blade.
I'm really picky. I'm testing. I've been testing so many strings the last year or so, especially when I gotten back to singles. Um, my setup in doubles was always, let's say, I started, my best results were with regular alu 125. Um, and then at one point, I don't know why, but I thought that I need a bit more feel and power. So, and actually, I got recommended by it. No, no, no. I will tell you the real story. So, I got, I got, I got a surgery in my abdominal. I had the small thing you need to take off. I forgot the name.
The appendix or no?
Um,
No, no.
I had appendicitis.
Yeah.
So I had appendicitis 15 days before US Open. That was 2023. So US Open 2023, and I'm getting appendicitis. I was playing a challenger in Cary. I remember that was in US, in North Carolina. Um, and I remember I went to the hospital. It was not a great situation. I got the surgery, all that stuff, and then 15 days before US Open. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna play US Open, no chance. Like, it's impossible. The doctors told me that I can restart doing some physical small stuff on day 10. So in my mind, it was out. And I got in with Stefanos. We got in a direct entry. So um, I knew that eventually I'm gonna pull out, most probably. And then 10 days pass. My feeling gets better and better. I had actually quite a quick recovery, I feel like. And then I remember me and my brother, we arrived on site, and I don't know, something clicked into my mind. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to play and just hit a few balls. And I took my racket to the stringer, and it just came randomly into my mind. I'm like, fuck, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try natural gut in the mains and 4G on the crosses. Because I know natural gut is a super powerful string, and 4G is a very stiff string, so maybe the combination will be nice, and it's gonna be also kind of easy for my abdominals as a first hit. And I did that. I went to the court. I started hitting balls, and the feeling was unbelievable. Like, that was my first experience with natural gut, and I felt like, wow, this is something really nice. Of course, I was not hitting the ball because of my abdominals, but the feeling was really nice. And then second day I did the same. Third day I did the same, and I tried a few serves as well, and I could serve pain free. Um, and then our match was in 2 days, so that was day 13. Our match was on day 15 or 16, and eventually I did the crazy thing. I I went to the doctors. I told them my situation there at the US Open, and they recommended me not to play the match, of course, and that it's really dangerous. But inside of me, I was hitting the ball well. I was feeling quite good. So I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna try to play in set, just a set with Stefanos, because he was, of course, willing to help me to play, and if I was in a good condition. And we went out, we played, and we won the match, which was crazy. Just 15 days after the surgery, makes no sense. But and then that was my first experience with natural gut, and since then I've been using that string for, like, it's been already almost 2 years. Yeah, which is crazy. On and off sometimes, but I would say, yeah, I've been trying to find like a poly on the crosses that is different. I've tried Alu Power. Now I'm trying Alu Power Rough, and of course, it's also a very expensive string, natural gut. Most of the time, I have to buy it, which is not nice. I mean, it gets pretty pricey, and sometimes I was getting it from my brother. But I would say it's probably the nicest string at the same time and the worst. It's kind of in between. The complications about it, of course. You've probably tried it,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I played
it's
a lot with gut. It's a beautiful string. Like you're getting a crisp power, and it holds tension well. Like obviously it's gonna snap faster than any other, like a poly, right? But then you're getting the power, and you're not quite getting the same spin potential, like quite, So it's like a little bit less spin, of course, but you're getting more ball through the court, so a little bit easier power. So it's very, very much up to the player. Like I have had players top 50 that are like super happy to switch to gut, and not like some people refuse. Like I can't play with gut. Like it doesn't work for my game. So it's very polarizing. But then you had like you had Roger, you had Andy, you had Novak. They all played gut hybrids. So it's been a popular thing, but still, it's like not everyone. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Like that's the thing. And I don't think in every condition maybe it's the number one solution, but there's quite a few players who play natural gut, and I even guys who using, like my buddy Elias, he started testing gut in Swedish Open, and he said, "Oh, it's like this is so much easier to play," and then okay, in an Aero VS, which is quite not the most logical combination to have gut in the Aero. Right?
Yes, is I don't know, maybe too much.
Yeah, that could be too much, but he likes it, so he plays with it now on the Challenger Tour, and he's winning matches. So all good, but it's not like if in top of my head it's like, okay, got in a VS, but if it works, it works.
Yeah,
Right?
it really depends on your game as well. I feel like my game, it suits well because I'm not a guy who plays a lot of topspin. I like to hit through the ball flat, and I would say I come to the net quite often. So uh, on the volleys, it feels much better than a poly. Um, of course, and of course it's a different feeling at the contact point. It's more crisp, but I like that crispness and that soft feel. So yeah, I mean, the thing that I have discovered with gut is that it's not easy to string it properly. And when I'm traveling, of course I'm playing tournaments almost every week, the feel kind of changes, maybe sometimes a bit too much, depending on the stringer that strings it. So that's the only issue. Otherwise, for my game, it would probably be the best string.
Yeah, that's one complication that people don't think about. Like when you travel to tournaments, you have different stringers. Like you're not traveling with P1 or anything, so you have different stringers, and sometimes it's the stringer, sometimes maybe the machine itself, like it's something like the machine maybe is not the best or drops tension or just like different. Sometimes it's the conditions. So like gut is not the best in super humid conditions. Like it's gonna snap faster, it's gonna drop a bit faster. So you don't want to put like gut in like a hot car, that's not generally it. So you don't know if you have to treat it a little bit like an organic product, which it is. So it's a bit more complicated. That's probably why you're not having the consistency, of like, okay, like a plastic. That's a different story, right?
Of course. No, for me, polyester strings are way more consistent. And I mean, of course, there's always like a price to pay when such a good string like gut exists. Of course, you said like you said, it's natural. Of course, there's gonna be complications in humid conditions. I felt that a lot, especially on clay, especially on wet clay. I feel like gut is not probably uh, it's probably a disadvantage sometimes to play with. But there's ways to string it. You can always adjust tension. There's few tricks I learned from quite a few stringers that I've talked with. One of them, he's actually Greek. I don't know if you ever met him, Petros Tsitsipas. He works in French Open every year. He's one of the masterminds of stringing in Greece. We all ask for advice whenever he can help us, and yeah, he's been helping me a lot with that. So it's a learning process, of course, when you want to play with that kind of string. But yeah, I mean, I'm willing to do that. So
Yeah, and I think for you, like in your Blade 98, and also 1820, like having a bit of extra pop from that pattern is quite good. And you're seeing a lot of players using a Blade 1820, even if it's other generations or whatever, or other specifications, that like the gut seems to work well. Like you said about your brother as well, like when he played like 4G full bed 1820 Blade, it's like a board, you know. Some people like a board, you know. We had Dusty Brown, he played like 36 kilos in his pure
Yeah,
drive or whatever,
yeah,
but
that's crazy.
that is crazy, you know. That is literally quite a lot, but it's gonna be a board in that dense pattern like 1820, so it
100%.
can be hard on the arm a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because I know Dustin quite well. We play club matches together in Germany in the same team, and he actually gave me his racket to try to hit balls with. I was always curious. I'm like, man, you're stringing 36 kilos. I want to see how that feels. And then I hit a few balls, and I understood everything. It has nothing to do with the tension in the end. It's just that the racket is really, it's a powerful racket, and his balance point is different than any regular ballast point. I think quite a high swing weight as well, of course, when you play with that kind of tension. And it's yeah, it was completely different from mine, and it didn't actually feel like I'm playing with 36 kilos. But with that kind of setup, you need a lot of control, so it makes sense from his regard why he plays with such a stiff string bed.
Yeah, I think also. I mean, he likes the feeling of like really attacking the ball like crazy, like swinging completely
Yeah,
without abandon, and not needing to like, okay, I have to loop this a bit or I have to put some extra spin on the ball. He wants to be able to go like, okay, I swing all I have on this one, you know, and then you
exactly.
need a little bit of extra tension. So and like you said, the racket it's a power racket, so it's not like yours, you know. So you
Yeah,
adjust accordingly, right?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
But do you talk like with Pavlos about gear or ever, or he's like he's now okay. I'm playing this. I don't want to hear anything about gear.
Pavlos has actually he actually has been the first uh, member of our family. He's playing with Bubble at the moment. He's playing with the VS. He made the switch by himself, which was quite surprising. I was not expecting it. He was also playing with the Blade 1820, but I feel like because he's still young and he sees a lot of Alcaraz videos, he wanted to try it out, and he's been playing with it since then. He improved his game quite a lot. I think it's much easier racket to play with, I would say. But of course, in the end of the day, in my opinion, it can also be in the mind a little bit, you know, because he was playing some really good tennis with the blade as well. It's just that mentally he felt like he needed to change, and he did it, and he quite likes it. So that's the most important thing. If he likes with what he's playing, yeah, it's the end of the story.
Yeah, I think like having gear too much in your head is bad. Like I think like what you put around like adjusting strings a little bit, it's still within your ballpark. Like you're really used to your blade, so you know what it does. You know like what it does with with the gut on the crosses or the gut on the mains or full bed of all power, for example. But if you're going in between rackets and it starts becoming a big thing in your head, then like it might become too much space because you are still the player. You have to do all the work. The racket is is somewhat important because it's the part of like that touches the ball, you know, with the strings and all that. But it's still a lot of things that become a mental thing, you know, where you can probably play as well with your own with your old racket. But that's the trick. You have to kind of get out of your head. Like if you're testing, don't test for too long because then you're gonna go nuts. You know, it's too many options.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually curious to see how you testing every day all this different stuff, all these different rackets, the strings. But yeah, there's always a place and a time for that. Um, I would say that the time that a tennis player can really try things out is the preseason, which is from November till late December, unless you're still playing tournaments in November, of course. It's like a month of, of your time that you can do it. It doesn't sound a lot, but this is the timeline. Um, and Steph was also trying a lot of rackets and different kind of strings in preseason. Um, and it's not easy mentally to to commit yourself staking into something that you tried and you like, even if you like it and you go out on the tennis court and you play a match, with the nerves, with the tension. Let's say it's a deuce point or 6-0 in the third set. and then automatically your brain uh, needs something familiar. So that's the tricky part. You need to let go and to kind of say to yourself, okay, I'm playing with something new. Probably the first month or two results are not going to be great, but I'm actually liking with what I'm playing. And the ego part of the player can actually sometimes not agree with that kind of situation, and they all end up playing with what they used to play like before. They don't really switch. So that's something I also learned throughout the years, that you need to give time to something when you're trying it. It's very important.
Yeah, amen. Like it's one of the things that hurts a tennis player because it's so connected to the ego. Like you said, it's like losing a match sucks. Like and losing two in a row sucks. Losing three in a row sucks even more. And then you start like having doubts about everything you do. It's like the racket, the strings, what you eat, your girlfriend, whatever. Like everything is doubts then. So it's like it's so connected, and you need to have that time of like getting it into your muscle memory, and that is the tricky part. So you can have a great first week, do a great tournament, and then you have 3 bad weeks with a new racket, and then you're like, okay, I'm not gonna play with this. It's like I had 3 bad weeks. It's the racket's fault. While maybe you actually, okay, if you kept on for 3 more weeks, maybe you do have a new level, like, or you're like, okay, now I'm done. My body has adjusted. I know
Yeah,
that if I have to play a passing shot at juice point in the fifth set, I'm gonna make it. Like I'm gonna make the shot. But without that security in the beginning, it's gonna be hard. I mean, mentally really tough. Like to accept that it's maybe me, it's maybe the racket. I don't know, but I have to accept, that this is the situation.
exactly. Yeah, it's a process, and when you first try things out, it's always on your mind, and yeah, you just need to get better with it. You're completely right.
Yeah, I think so. So when you're in a tournament mode now, like what do you eat? How like are you Novak Djokovic style, or are you more like I can eat whatever. I'm working out like 5 hours a day, so.
Yeah, Novak Djokovic style, not so easy, especially in Challenger Tour.
No, I
Uh,
don't think so.
yeah, we don't really have the catering company traveling with us. I mean, Novak actually had the catering company in Dubai when he played the 500. I remember the
Yeah, yeah,
food,
yeah, yeah. I
the
do know.
food on
Like
the
he
side.
lives here, so
Yeah,
I do know what he's
yeah,
doing. So.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So no, I'm trying to eat as healthy as possible, of course. During tournaments, it's also like it's kind of a routine for me. If I eat something unhealthy before one day before a match or 2 days before a match, it really stays in my mind, that I'm not doing something right. So I'm avoiding it, and I'm trying to eat as healthy as possible. And I prioritize carbohydrate. Let's say not so much protein before matches. I feel like carb loading is something that a lot of players don't pay attention to, and it's the best way to get you know easy energy um, before your matches. But besides that, all the regular stuff: drink electrolytes, hydrate well, sleep well. Sleep is actually one of the most important things, I think, for an athlete. Um, if you can manage to have a good night's sleep consistently, it can help a lot with your mental performance as well. This is another part that is super important. And yeah, keeping it as simple as possible, and probably 1 or 2 days before the match, just be clear with the mind and not overthink, because overthinking is also sometimes a player's worst enemy. It can become, at least, yeah.
Yeah, the more you are in your head, like the less you are on the court. That's usually what you say, right? So it's like you need to be mindful and be aware of your surroundings and be like super focused. It's interesting with the sleep, right? Because you're as a tennis player, it's a weird life. You're always in a new place. You're always in a new bed, pretty much, right? So you're unless maybe Novak gets the bed, they fly with the bed, or no, I'm joking. But it's like so you're always in a new bed, and you have to get a good night's sleep in, and the conditions are different every time. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal with travel? It's that's one difficult part, right?
100%. Um, Yeah, for me, the most difficult part about traveling, which I haven't done so much this year, but I did quite a lot when I was playing doubles, um, is the time zone difference when you travel from US to Europe. This is the worst. Getting acclimatized to the time zone sometimes, yeah, it's super tricky. But you learn through you learn through the way. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Of course, for me, the most important thing about sleep is the pillow. Actually, I used to travel with my own pillow because I felt like I'm very picky with pillows. It's crazy. So I had my own pillow. Now I kind of stopped because it was almost an obsession and it took too much space in my travel bag. But
I can imagine that.
yeah, every player has their own kind of small things, you know. Um, yeah, my younger brother, for example, also takes some sleeping supplements the first night he arrives to a new place, and I've tried it once and it really helps. So yeah, with things evolving in that kind of sense, technology, all that stuff, it's even easier to kind of to manage it nowadays.
How do you deal with like the mental side? Like, I mean, you obviously sleeping, eating, all this stuff, but do you have like some kind of routine, or do you journal? I know like a few players they like to journal or like write down points. They like to analyze every match. What's your take on like your mental state during a tournament?
I do journal a lot during tournaments, especially before the match. I like to write a few things down, like key points or things that I've worked on, and I want to remind myself of doing that in the match and trusting it. I think it's actually a very helpful tool to journal. It really gets you into a more composed and how can I say, a more mindful place before you step on the court, and it kind of brings in confidence as well a little bit. So I definitely do that in my tournaments. Um, but yeah, my routines. I'm not really a picky person. I don't have like obsessions, let's say. I know some players do, but I don't. The only thing that I have to do before a match, which is really important, is to drink a cold coffee. That's something that puts me in the zone. But other than that, journaling, yeah, and coffee.
It has to be cold, or can it be a coffee?
A cold.
Cold, cold brew,
Freddo
or like.
espresso. Freddo espresso in Greece, it's called Freddo espresso.
Oh,
It's
that's nice. I like that.
coffee.
I've had that. Yeah,
You probably had it in Greece.
yeah, yeah.
You've
That's
been to
good.
Greece a couple of times, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love it there. It's super nice. I also love that coffee, and I love like cold coffee in general, even cold brews. I like. I think it's I'm a coffee nut, you know. But it's also it's kind of having a ritual, right? Like it's partly the coffee, but it's also like the ritual. Like you're
The
putting
ritual.
yourself into a mode of, okay, I'm about to do my work, and I try to do my best. I need to lock in, you know, and it's good to have
For
a
sure.
ritual, even if it's the smallest possible thing. You know, it doesn't have to be 60 steps or like Rafa Nadal has to touch all his body parts. You know, it can be something very small, but it's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, not getting into the Rafa stuff. That's actually, I mean, I've worked with a lot of coaches, and one of them, I remember, he was always trying to put me into that perspective of having the rituals, like Rafa, for example. And it actually really helps during the match. Yeah, of course, you have certain things that you always do, and it's very important to come back into those things when, especially when tight moments come in the game. uh, this kind of rituals help your mind to be in a more focused and determined state, and it's definitely something that a lot of fans make fun about, especially about Rafa with the pants or Novak with the eyes like this. But it's a key point that um, provides a player to be in the moment and to be locked in, which is something super important um, in those key points, in those tight third set moments.
Yeah, tennis is a different sport from like team sports and many other sports because you have like this like mini breaks all the time with the points, right? So you have time to overthink. Technically, you can do that. You'll be like, oh shit, I just wasted 3 break points, and now we're at deuce. I'm about to waste this game. All the negative stuff comes into your head. You have to kind of find a way to block them out and restart, refresh, which is tough. But you have all that time, so you need to kind of use it in a good way. And one way is obviously to have rituals, and that's, I think it's sometimes tough for people who watch tennis. They don't maybe play matches and stuff. They don't realize like this is like the tension of playing a tennis match. I mean, it gets better the more you play, but still, it's a lot of tension, and you feel the opponent's tension, you feel the audience tension, you feel your own tension. So it's like, you have to have your own little like tricks to zone in or to kind of shut something out, because I think it's very tough to deal with otherwise. I think people who play a tennis match for the first time in their life, they realize their arm is not connected to their body anymore, and it's like oh, I cannot play. So it's this is tennis. It's one of the most tough sports in the world.
It is. It is. Tennis. I mean, I used to do a lot of sports growing up. Um, Football, swimming, basketball. Yeah, the tennis. I chose tennis partly because I could be by myself on the court. I felt like I was more of a solo guy. Not that I didn't like team sports. I liked team sports, but of course, it ran in the family, so I had to follow up after my brother, after my parents. It almost felt natural. But yeah, for me, people don't realize the focus and the craziness it requires to be one of the best, not even the best like the top 100 or the top 200. It's um it's a crazy difficult sport, and there's so many things that you have to do right in order to have a shot to be good. um but it's also what makes it so great. In the end of the day, you know you need to be super strong mentally and to sustain so much pressure. And once you get the victory, or you make it through, it's probably one of the best feelings in the world.
That's well put. That's really well put. I think it's more about overcoming your own demons probably than overcoming the opponent. Like some people, they want to use the energy of the opponent to screw with them or like get into their head. But I think tennis in its purest form is you against yourself, right? That's the match. Like, okay, you have a guy, you're gonna beat him, but it's not so much against that guy. It's you and your head. You're trying to beat your head, and I think that's a better way of seeing it. But then if you mute,
Yeah,
maybe you want to get into the other person's head as well. But it's
yeah,
depends on your style. Like
yeah.
it's up to you. But what works. So, do you like listen to music or anything to get into the zone before the match, or you keep it?
Yeah, it depends on the period. Like I said, I'm not super freaked out about rituals, but I mean, no, not really. Stefanos also never kind of. He was a very simple. He had a very simple approach. My father always was like next to him and explaining him, going through the tactics of the match. And because I grew up with it, like I experienced watching it every time. The thing that I do is just I journal, and I just try to talk to myself through that way and put me in the state of, you know, tactically, let's say, being ready for the match, and then mentally as well. Um, but I know a lot of players love listening to songs. I actually, maybe sometimes what I do, I put on motivational speeches before the match when I go for the 5 minute run, to warm up, and that puts me in the mood. But not music so much, just motivational speeches. I prefer that.
Yeah, that's a nice way of doing. I mean, because you get like pumped up. That's
I feel like you get more pumped up than the music, in my
yeah.
opinion.
That's a good idea actually. What's your coaching situation right now? Like, you have a coach, or you're soloing it for the moment?
So at the moment, I do have a coach here in Heraklion with me. It's actually my father has created. I don't know if you know, but he has created his own company, his own coaching company. It's kind of international, and he works with some academies in Spain and some other countries, and he brings in coaches that can travel with players that need coaching, and it's like a service almost. And I use that kind of service from him. It's called ITC tennis, and yeah, it's a new thing for him, and he has helped me a lot and other players in Greece that were in need of that. So it's really nice to see him doing it, and trying to help us with that, because we always struggled in Greece to kind of have good coaches around us and to improve. Because you just said in the beginning of the podcast, Greece was never a super evolved country in that regard, and it's nice to have it now.
I think that's a great idea actually, because I think the coaching player relationship, it's partly tough to find a good fit. That's always it. But to have like something that makes it easier to at least like, okay, I am in need, but I don't know where to go. Like, because a lot of players, like if you're a top guy like Stefanos, okay, he's gonna have some people knocking on his door. He can knock on their door, and they will be like, okay, I'm interested because you're such a good player. But for a lot of players, it's tricky because they're starting out or they're like in the middle of their career or what. So I think that it's an interesting idea. I think we'll probably see more of that. Like a company that can supply like coaching services. Like depending on the fit. But what do you look for in a coach? Like, what would be a good coach for you? Like, what do you need from the coach, and what don't you want in a coach?
For me, what I'm looking in a coach, I feel like there's two versions of it on tour, from what I've seen at least. There's always, for example, there's the coach that is proactive and is trying to give all the information to the player, and he's kind of guiding the way, or the wave. It's like a wave. He's guiding the wave of the process, and the player is just locked in, focused, trying to do what the coach tells him. And that's a very, I think, effective way of doing it. And then you have the other way, which you are the player, and of course you have the coach, and you're kind of collaborating on what has to be improved or what feels right or wrong, and you discuss through the session and also after the session, and it's more of a collaboration in that regard. um, but as a player, you are trying to figure things out mostly. um, so in my situation right now, I think I'm more in the second position. I'm trying to be in a more collaborative way with the coach. Of course, I get his point of view, but I have a specific thing in my mind that I know that I have to work on, that's going to help me in my game to be in the best form possible for the match or before the match. Because I'm not the kind of player that grew up with one specific coach. I was always taking things from someone, for let's say 3-4 months, and I was moving on to someone else. I'm more of that philosophy. I don't know if it makes sense or not. I guess I was also just a bit unlucky in that regard, because I always had my father, and I was also traveling with him and my brother, and he was also helping me a lot with my tennis. So I just learned to operate in that way. Yeah, it's something that I'm still trying to understand if it can work. It just feels natural to me at the moment, so I'm sticking to that. But for example, my brother has always operated the opposite way. He always had my father next to him. My father was the person who was arranging how the practice is gonna go. It's not that my brother never had an opinion. Of course, he had his opinion about his game, but most of the time, my father had the plan. The plan was, let's say, followed, and my brother was just trying to give his best effort, and that was enough for him to improve, let's say.
Do you think it's complicated to have like a family where like your father is a coach, your three brothers play tennis, and like having a father coach son relationship, is that a complicated thing? Like, I mean, I guess it is, but is that something you think about, like, or you discuss as a family, like this is it's because it's tennis is always around you guys, like you're at the dinner, you probably talk tennis, and this tennis it's
Yeah.
always somewhere around you in your life.
Yeah, yeah, it's a complicated relationship. I feel like when it starts, it always starts positive, and then as the years pass, there's things coming into place that are almost like barriers, and you have to get through them. Of course, I mean, even with me and my other brothers, as a family, we have made, let's say, there were some intense moments between us, and there has been, let's say some mistakes made along the way, and probably, let's say, I don't know, our relationship was for a while a bit broken because of tennis. But it's absolutely normal for that to happen, I think, because in the end of the day, it's all about experience, growing from it. And you see now, my brother has gotten back with my father. They're trying to make it work once more, which I'm very happy about. I feel like my brother, after a year of abstinence from my father, he actually maybe needed him by his side now to regain his tennis, because my father knows him the best, from everyone, and I feel like it was time for that to happen. So yeah, from my side, of course, you know, I've also had my moments with my father, but deep inside me, I know he wants the best for me. So he's probably the only guy that's gonna do it from his heart, which is the most important thing. The more I think about it, the more I appreciate it. And I feel like it's a very intense and complicated psychology between father and son, and coach father son. It's something that both father and son have to be in complete line and work through it together in a very healthy way, which requires both at the same time to be on the same page. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy, and but it's there's absolutely something to what you said about like he knows in Stefano's case, and also if he coached you, for example, like he knows you guys the best, right? So he's your father. He has lots of love for you, but obviously he wants results as well. So it's a complicated dichotomy there. Like, okay, I want results, but I also want love, and I want what's best for them, which is results, probably. Um, but you see a lot with players like they leave their parent who's been coaching them, but he was such an important part of all the way through that it's like it's tricky to move on to something different because that is kind of like a rock in your foundation as a player. Like as one of the rocks is gone, like there's a new person there. I don't know if I should listen to him or not, or
Yeah.
it gets complicated, So I completely understand, and I think you see it in these situations where there have been father son or father daughter relationships, is that they end usually back together in some way, like so because that's such a foundation of the whole game.
It is, and yeah, it's very easy for people outside to see certain things and comment on them and have an opinion. But in the end of the day, if you think about it, between your family, it can be so heated, but at the same time, you don't really understand how heated it is. For you, maybe it's normal because it's just something that it's just so passionate at that moment that you don't really think about the, how can I say, the level it has reached. And and yeah, it's something that it can absolutely work, I think, still nowadays. I mean, you see Ben Shelton with his father, he's still coaching him. He just won a Masters 1000. I met his dad and I talked quite a few times to him. He's a super chill and nice guy, and he's doing it in a very smart and a very educated way. And yeah, I hope to see more parents, maybe in the future, doing it the way he's doing it. It's very nice to see.
Yeah, that's it's good that you have that they can have that they seem to have a good vibe. Like chemistry is good. You don't know maybe in 5 years it would be a bit different. We don't know, but it's nice to see. And I think it's a tricky line for the parent to walk as well. Like how intense should I be? I want this so much, but then it's my kid, so I don't want to overpress. It's complicated. I think that's why some people step away, but in some cases it's just best to stay there and be like that person all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah. It depends on the feeling. But with Shelton's case, I think his father was always part of him, but not 100%. He played college tennis before in Florida State, and the father was the coach of the team. So, when you're the coach of the team, you're not going to give 100% to your kid all the time. And then the kid has to find his own way a little bit as well. So I think Shelton, on his own, he can, he's mature enough to understand how to win matches by himself. And then he has his father as a help at the same time in case, he needs it or he feels like it's needed, which is a good combination, I think.
Yeah, it's like a nice background to have, or like that there's support in case you really need it, but you can also figure it out yourself. I think
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. When does the tournament starts for you now? Like, is it let's see, it's Saturday today, Monday, or is that your first day?
Monday probably, yeah, probably doubles Monday, and then Tuesday or Wednesday singles. Yeah, that's the plan.
So yeah, you're practicing every day trying to get ready. But it's great to get play a challenger. I mean, that's obviously a very high level tennis. Have you noticed that the level of tennis over your years as a pro player, like, has it increased? Like, I think my feeling is that it's tougher than ever to be a good tennis player because everybody's like the level is just increasing. What's your feeling?
100% it is much tougher. Every year it gets tougher, I feel like. Um, yeah, it's crazy. It's also, I think, one part is players understanding and realizing things that before were not realized. I don't know what exactly it is, but even at futures, like, you have certain players that are not even ranked and they can play crazy good tennis. And you're like, wow, this guy is unranked and he's playing qualies in the futures, but he's playing like a guy who's 300 in the world or 200 in the world. So the ball striking is very, I would say it's very similar throughout every level. And then the difference is mostly mental, mostly also confidence wise, how strong a player can withhold pressure throughout the whole match. That's the biggest difference. But the ball striking is at its highest ever, in my opinion. That's my take. I feel like every year it's gonna get better and better, and the fact that you see guys 300, 400 in the world playing such a good tennis and actually struggling to live from it makes you question, in a way, that okay, well, our sport is not in a good place in that regard because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, what can be done about that? Because like it's one of the world's biggest sports still. It's pulling in a lot of money on like the top levels. Tournaments are making good money. I mean, I've been to several Grand Slams, like two Grand Slams this year and a bunch of other tournaments. They're sold out, like the French Open, Wimbledon, they're sold out. Even qualis, like they're people everywhere. Kids' day in French Open was 23,000 because it's like open. So tennis has no problem pulling in people to watch. There's tennis is a very fascinating game to watch. But then like you're a top athlete and even let's say you're 500 in the world in tennis, that requires like a lifetime of commitment and dedication, right? To be this good. If you're 500 in football, you're laughing when you go to the bank. It's like a
Yeah.
good time, yeah.
Yeah.
But in tennis, it's I don't know. Like this seems like the money. It seems like it's going too much in one direction and not enough spread out, and it's something they really need to tackle because it's gonna be like that. People feel like, oh, I'm just 400, but you're like 400 is amazing. You should be able to make a living. You're 400 in the world, but then it's
Yeah.
just like you have to puzzle your life. You're self-employed. You're paying your travel. You have to pay your coach, pay the hotel. You have to go play some leagues that you don't want to play, and then you have to go back and you try to play like a challenger, and it's tricky.
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't know what can be done. I mean, logistically, there has to be a way that maybe this can work for lower ranked players to get a better salary or to get more prize money from tournaments. But yeah, at the moment, I know that only if you're top 200 or maybe 220, you can have, let's say, a living from tennis. Other than that, it's not possible. And yeah, like you said, grinding it out every week, playing even more. club matches, stuff like that. In this way, you can make money, but through the ATP system, it's really it's not so functional. Even though the ATP has increased a lot the prize money in challengers the last I think 2 years, they're trying to make it work, to put more money into it. It's still not enough. The difference hasn't been so big, I would say. I mean, I know that the PTPA is also involved in this highly, and they're trying to push as much as possible, which is always it's nice to see. But not many actions have been taken lately about that regard. So I think it's gonna stay probably this way for another 2 3 years, and who knows how it's gonna evolve.
Yeah, that's we'll see. We keep our eyes peeled because we love tennis and we want it to do best, and want players to be able to survive and compete, and be their best.
Of course.
So what's the rest of your year look like? You're playing these tournaments. You're gonna be traveling, doing more singles. Do you have a specific trying to work on something specific in your game, or you just wanted to give this a go with your singles and see how far it goes?
Yeah, I will play as much as possible until the end of the year. Of course, I'm gonna have some weeks off in between, but not too many. I'm excited because it's almost summer's close to ending, and then indoor season starts, which is my favorite season. I love indoors. And then we're having some exciting things coming up. We're playing against Brazil, Davis Cup on September, to have a chance to qualify for the high stage in Davis Cup, which is nice, and we're looking forward to that. And then we also have a 250 event in Athens, first time in history.
Wow,
which is great. Yeah, we're super excited for that as well. It was supposed to happen in Belgrade, but ATP moved it to Athens. It was Novak is the tournament director of that tournament, so it's super nice that he chose our country to relocate the tournament, and that's gonna give opportunity to us players, play at a even bigger stage and compete. And I think my brother will play too, which is amazing for the Greek people to see him play at the ATP event in Athens. And yeah, we have a couple more challenges coming up in November, I think, in Greece. So lots of tennis to be played in our country. That's the nice thing.
yeah, it sounds great, man. I'm excited about that. I hope to come and watch some of it because Greece is a great country to visit. Of course, everybody knows that, and that's going to be great. And I wish you all the best and in your matches. And I obviously keep in touch with you and Steph. So all the best to you. And if you have any gear questions, send me a message whenever. I try my best.
I've done that already quite a few times.
Yeah, I know, and you're welcome. You're welcome. It's good. I try my best to have. Sometimes it's tricky. I have that with a bunch of other pros as well, but it's sometimes people are like not super keen on testing. Some people know nothing. You know quite a bit, which makes life easier. But some people they are like a completely new. Like what should I do here? So
it's a learning process.
It's a learning process, yeah. And it comes, but it's good to experiment a little bit, and then you're more confident about the setup. But you have to find the confidence, and then you can like flow and play without hopefully doubting it, too much, But it's because in the end it was always like this, that the conditions were different. Like, so you're like, okay, I'm going to you like to play indoors, indoors completely different than playing outdoors in a humid condition. It's completely different tennis. Or you play on like in Quito in Ecuador, and it's like the ball is just flying like out of the stadium, because it's so the pros has always needed to understand like how will this condition play. That's always been important, and now with the balls even more, I say.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Thank you for having me in your podcast. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and yeah, hopefully we can do it some other time as well.
I would love to. That would be amazing, man. And we keep in touch, okay?
We keep in touch, Jonas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.